terrible. I love it.
Hello, 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 and welcome back to It's Terrible, I Love It, the podcast where I show my friends terrible movies that I love. As always, my name is Katie, and my favorite movie is Say Anything, and I have two guests with me today.
Howdy, howdy. I'm Olivia. My favorite movie is probably going to be a solid tie. Both Mike Myers movies. It's either Shrek 2 or the first Austin Powers movie, The Spy Who Shagged Me.
Hello, my name is James, and looking at my favorite movies here, if I were to answer it seriously, it'd have to be something between Iron Giant and the Elvis movie from 2022. I don't know why I love it, but I do. But if we're actually talking about, my favorite bad movie so far, that has to be the Adam Sandler 8 Crazy Nights. I don't know why. It is the worst film I've ever watched. I mean, I've heard about it, and people joke about it, and they say these scenes that, the deer has shit in its teeth, and you don't think it's real until you actually watch it. And I don't think I've ever seen a movie since that has had my jaw to the floor. So
I'm going to say honestly, James, that's a technical foul.
All right, for our cocktail today, our hot tub time machine cocktail, we have, I promise the name will make sense later, a Chernobyl.
Oh boy.
It is fruit punch, energy drink of your choice. I just did Rockstar because they didn't have Monster, although I'm a Monster girly. Fruit punch, so fruit punch, energy drink, vodka, and Sprite. The vodka and the energy drink are both related to the plot, but I don't want to say how. I don't want to spoil anything.
I'm going to be honest, the fruit punch and the energy drink, when they are combined together, they almost cancel each other out, and it has this vaguely I don't know, I'd say maybe menthol cherry candy taste to it. It's kind of good though.
I was going to say, is that in a good way or a bad way?
It's comforting. It's the kind of thing that I'd drink if I wanted to put hair on my chest after getting sick.
Yeah. Because I wanted a red energy drink, because it was important to me that it was an energy drink. I don't necessarily drink the fruit punch ones because I'm not a huge fan of them, but I was like, it's on theme, so theme outweighs my personal preferences.
I wish we had a camera here so the audience could see it, but it looks very red, and I just can't help this feeling that you just killed everybody in the film and just put it into one drink, and it's just gonna waste you so fucking hard. It just really nails that what the hell is going to happen tonight vibe here, and I'm just I'm curious. I'm seeing the cover, and it's just, they all look dead on it almost.
After this movie and drinking that drink, or maybe too many of those drinks, you'll just wake up in the morning and think the words red dye number 42, and that's all you remember.
Some might say it's a bit of a red scare. Foreshadowing a little bit.
There's a lot of Russian stuff in this, isn't there?
That's also why there's vodka in there.
Oh, this is not going to age well. Oh, God.
Sorry, I spoiled it a little bit, but neither of you have seen this movie before.
No.
Having never seen it, knowing only of what I've talked about it, what do you think happens in this movie? Olivia, would you like to start?
I'm going to say that it's some sort of chemical warfare thing, and the hot tub is actually filled with some sort of chemical that makes them travel in time. And it's some sort of experiment because it's Cold War era during dealing with the Red Scare. I think that also gratuitous amounts of vodka will be involved. And that's kind of my only prediction.
Solid.
Well, when I was walking through the front door, I had told Katie I can't wait to see Adam Sandler in this, and then I learned Adam Sandler is not in it. That should just kind of set the stage for me. I don't know why, but I had been led to believe for the longest time that Hot Tub Time Machine starred our favorite actor, Adam Sandler, and he is not in it. I don't know what I was smoking, but clearly it was something really hard if I was convinced Adam Sandler was in this film. Now, wishing Adam Sandler was in the film, I guess he's not going to be, but if he was, I would assume he's going to be messing around with Russia. I can only imagine how this is going to age in a post-Ukraine world, because holy shit. If there's vodka and Red Scare, I can only imagine if they're going to be screwing around with Gorbachev or something.
I didn't plan this, but I just realized there's a big crossover in themes between this movie and the last movie I covered for the podcast, which was Family Ties Vacation. We can talk about it later because, again, I don't want to spoil anything. But I also feel like I should mention we've done 2 Michael J. Fox movies so far, and that's because I love Michael J. Fox. And this is the first John Cusack movie on the list. And there are also many John Cusack movies on the list because I love me some John Cusack.
Would I be able to see the cover? Let me look at
He's not on the cover, but his younger counterpart is. Which one do you think is him?
Is it the guy with very long hair doing the radical symbol right there? Is that him?
That is not John Cusack.
It's
I
not
think
the naked guy?
it's the naked guy, which I think looks
Oh,
a good amount like him. Like if you watch like Better Off Dead, like yeah, he kind of looks like that.
So you're telling me John Cusack read the pitch for this?
He produced it.
You're shitting me. You're shitting me.
He was the executive producer.
It's times like these where you learn that actors aren't always the best producers. They might act very well.
I beg to differ. I
Let's
think
see.
he produced this movie very well.
I'm seeing Winterfest 86 on the back, and I can't tell that's John Cusack, but somebody looks really drunk on it.
Let me see.
That man.
Yeah, that's John Cusack.
Oh my god, he's aged. I know it's a little bit of lore for everybody listening. The last movie we watched with Katie was Say Anything, so we're going from John Cusack's, debatably, the pinnacle of John Cusack movies to something that some would call the bottom of the barrel of
Oh,
John
no,
Cusack.
no.
There's worse?
Oh, yes. You haven't seen The Raven, the movie where he plays Edgar Allan Poe, and he has a pet raccoon. He was also in many, many terrible action films.
Wait.
I love the man, but boy, has he been in some bombs. It's like anything post, like, 2002, I would say he's been in very few good movies.
And he was
post
Edgar Allan
2002.
Poe? Was he
He
racist
played
in
Edgar
that?
Allan Poe. He was not racist in the film, as far as I know. Also, no, like, weird, like, incest stuff in the movie.
Wow.
That is refreshing to hear.
That movie's on the list, though, to cover for the podcast, The Raven. I will say, I think of all the, like, 80s John Cusack movies, I think the one that you should watch before this, not saying anything, Better Off Dead, because there are a lot of parallels. Also, do you guys watch It's Always Sunny?
I actually regrettably
Occasionally.
don't.
Okay.
Have you seen The Gang Hits the Slopes?
No.
Oh, I was going to say, a lot of parallels between that and this film. Are we ready to travel back in time via the hot tub time machine?
I think
I am indeed.
I think I'm ready to see John Cusack's penis in this, assuming
You
does
might be
show it.
disappointed.
It's unrated version. So there's a cool squirrel.
You
on
won't
this,
see his Cusacks.
Nice. All right, we will watch Hot Tub Time Machine. We will watch Hot Tub Time Machine, and we will be right back. And we're back after watching Hot Tub Time Machine. What is everyone's general impression of Hot Tub Time Machine? Oh.
Alarm going off there. Yeah, but for real though, real alarms going off in my heart and in my soul because I feel changed. That was an excellent movie. I was promised a bad movie and I was sorely disappointed because that freaking rocked. I am changed.
It's a great movie. What are your initial impressions, James?
I'm shocked because that is definitely a movie. Out of all the movies, that is definitely one of them.
As far as how close they were to your predictions on what the plot was going to be like, how close were you guys?
I'm gonna say that I was pretty much wrong. Like, I was kind of expecting this kind of hangover, like they get drunk and party and that's why they time travel, some sort of accident like that, even though I didn't actually mention that.
I mean, that is kind of what happened.
Yeah. So it did meet my expectations, but I'm gonna be honest, it surpassed my expectations because I freaking loved that.
So honestly, it matched up some of it. Of course, there was no Adam Sandler, so I cried a little bit. But the very first seconds of the film does open up with boobs, bros, and beers. So it is kind of like what I expected from the cover. But as the movie progresses, it becomes more of a story between these brothers or friends that really just love each other. And
It's about the power of friendship.
it is about the power of friendship. And I was expecting a lot more of just dirty humor. Because, you're seeing that even on the cover, and usually unrated means, like, it's half porno. Which, yeah, there was a lot of boobs in this, but, like, I'm kind of surprised that it does have some heart to it. According to the budget, it took about $36 million.
Did you look up the fact?
I actually did look up the budget of it, and it is actually quite surprising because let's see, the box office did 64 million, and then if you look at how much it costed to make, that was 36 million. So it made its money back, and then it did twice. So I do believe it actually goes above the standards that it has to meet for a film to make money. So yes, it was a hit, to say the least.
The hit film Hot Tub Time Machine. I will say, circling back to the nudity bit, they did have like equal opportunity nudity. Like, you do see a lot of boobs, but you also do see a good amount of guy butt.
Yeah,
So-
there's a lot of man ass, and I appreciated that.
Yeah, there's this specific scene that I wrote down because I was just so fucking confused, because they're in the hot tub time machine. I do want to hop back to that first display of the hot tub time machine, but specifically when they're in it, they just randomly show boobs, and we were watching the unrated version, and I noticed that there's no way to explain that. They show boobs and they show somebody's ass. It is a white man's, so that rules about
I think
three
that
of
was
them.
Lou.
Yeah, I
It was
believe it
Lou?
was Lou's ass.
'Cause you
I
do
will
see it
admit,
before.
you are right, James. There was no woman present in the hot tub
What if-
while they were time traveling.
What if it was whoever was in that bear suit?
the bear
Yeah,
suit
the
was
bear
a woman?
the bear suit is prevalent. It kind of reminds me, scholars could compare that to the bear suit scene in The Shining. Very relevant
Guy
moment.
sucking his dick.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Sometimes we do like to think each new entry into something that creates a classic is entirely fresh and new. But clearly this is rivaling the likes of The Shining, and that is one symbol of it.
Seminal. It's a seminal classic.
Yes,
Is what
seminal
this
classic.
movie is. I did take a few notes, not a ton. So this movie heavily features Motley Crue, and a quote from James wasn't Motley Crue a pretty bad dude? And I just think the concept of referring to a whole band as a pretty bad dude is really funny to me.
I can't believe I said that because, there's so much memes about Joe Biden saying Corn Pop was a bad dude, and, that's been memed to hell, and I was really thinking I wouldn't fucking do that myself, but
Wait,
clearly...
who's Corn Pop?
You haven't heard about Corn Pop?
No, who's Corn Pop?
He just starts, it's like some speech with Joe Biden, and they're talking to him, and he's like, Corn Pop was a pretty bad dude, and he starts to go on a fucking 5-minute ramble about this guy called Corn Pop.
Honestly, it's kind of like a lovable old man story featuring Corn Pop. Corn Pop was a bad dude.
Yeah, and it's almost like I fucking channeled that, and I was like, Motley Crue was a bad dude.
I came to a realization, there are a lot of tropes in John Cusack movies. It's a well-known thing. He's always getting caught in the rain in his movies. Another thing that I've noticed, he's always skiing. Another thing I've noticed, he also always wears a big coat in his movies, which also happens in this movie. But anyways,
He also always hates 5G.
have you seen the movie Cell?
No.
Okay, it's based, sorry, this is tangential, but there's this horror movie called Cell, and it's based off a Stephen King story where everyone who has a cell phone, the cell phone
That's
turns them into a
right.
zombie.
Yes, it is.
And Sam Jackson's in it too.
It is one of the most boomer things ever. I did kind of do some Cusack research before I came, and I do think he's a talented guy, so I'm not gonna bash on him. But I did read something about him and 5G and believing it was a conspiracy. But
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, what I was going to say, the realization I had in this movie is that John Cusack is always going through a really bad breakup in his movies. Happens in Better Off Dead, happens in High Fidelity, obviously, happens in 2012, happens in this movie. He's just always getting broken up with, man.
Yeah, I mean, he gets stabbed with a fork twice in this movie, multiple times on screen. And I do want to comment, one of the forks is plastic, which means that it was a real serious rage breakup.
She girl bossed that.
She did. If you can stab someone with a plastic fork, you mean it.
Well, if you're able to get the angle right, it is quite fleshy. John Cusack does have this affinity for acting, where he will break up with somebody, and I think it kind of channels. I know this is funny because it's Hot Tub Time Machine, but it's specifically things we've seen it with Al Pacino. Al Pacino does have his own rage built up, from his life, and he's really able to channel that in something like Dog Day Afternoon, or, you know, a very popular one, Scarface.
Are you insinuating that John Cusack has been broken up with many times in real life?
Yes, I am, because he just plays it so well. And if you look at John Cusack, does he play anybody else other than John Cusack?
I mean, that's kind of fair. Yeah. He's always, like, kind of like, oh, lovable douchebag, which, like, I'm not calling John Cusack a douchebag. I love him. I think he's, like, you know, a cool dude. But he's grumpy. You know what I mean? He's a little grumpy boy.
Oh, yeah. No, he definitely is. He does have his controversial
He's cynical.
things. Yeah, he's cynical, and I think some of that douchebaggery just comes off of being, like, I don't know, part of his character. He sometimes... I don't know if he channels his character too much, or if he is just himself.
Yeah.
I will say with this argument, though, saying that he's been broken up with so many times is why he can act so well. He must ski a lot, because otherwise people are just saying, you know, John Cusack, he looks like he skis, doesn't he? Let's cast him as someone who skis.
Yeah, this movie, Better Off Dead, True Colors,
Better Call Saul.
Better Call Saul, and a couple other things, just small moments that I wrote down. This movie does say the F slur twice, and one of them is Sebastian Stan of Marvel fame.
Yeah, that one did kind of catch me off guard, but then again, it's 2010.
Yeah.
So we were reaching, like, that was the tail end. But, you know, it's almost like, is it really an 80s film? It doesn't
Oh,
say
absolutely.
Yeah,
that.
no,
Like,
it would
unfortunately,
not be
it's
the
so,
80s.
It's so often.
And then the last thing I wrote down is just a good quote from the movie, from Lou, when he says, "What the effing fuck?" And I don't know why, but that phrase was so funny to me. Just like censoring yourself once and then not the second time is so funny to me.
I really like you mentioned that, because Lou does have some really good lines in that. I think something I wrote down myself is when he's talking about, he's like, I want these sluts and hookers and stuff, and then he's like, no tomfoolery. I mean, that's just great. I'm like, no tomfoolery. I mean, hey, there's also another quote I just wrote down, and I'm not going to go through all of them, but this really dates the film. Now, in 2010, for context, I was 10, and I actually went through some of my old emails, and I was sending to my friends, like, this is so epic, and I'm just talking about Minecraft, and there's a scene where John Cusack was like, she was epic, and I'm like, oh my god, this is
Epic
2010.
gamer moment.
Epic gamer.
moment.
Do you have any other notes you want to share before we move on to discussion questions?
Yeah, there's actually one really funny one. There's a few, but there's one that says, it's actually not bad with the Violator. I forgot what his name, his intro.
Lou.
Yeah, Lou. Lou was actually had a pretty funny intro, and then, like, Katie, I could tell, like, Katie had watched it a lot, because she literally says shotgun to the dick at the same time as he does.
It's an iconic line.
It's so funny, because when I'm reading these notes, it makes me seem like I love it. I love the scene with him, and then there's just this one note that says catheter scene hurts, and I underlined it.
That is, like, literally traumatizing. That scene. That's vile. That's, like, worse than, like, anything I've ever seen in any horror movie. It's so vile.
It is vile, but I like that their, like, ending reaction to that is, it's just a little piss. I mean, come on now. It's just a little piss.
Yeah, I mean, if I got my homies piss on me, I don't think it'd be the end of the world. But for me, it's the thought of having your catheter ripped out. As someone who's had a catheter before, it hurts real bad. And the thought of just ripping it out, oh my god.
Yeah.
God, it just makes me hurt looking at it.
Yeah.
And reminding me about penises, that comes to another point in the film where this part, just like, I was trying to keep my shit in. It's a scene where the doors fly open and they see the hot tub time machine for the first time. Does anybody notice that it looks like piss in there?
I noticed that too. I'm like, that water looks so dirty and gross.
What's even
Well,
It's probably
better-
because the raccoon.
Yeah, there was a dead raccoon in the beginning, and I think that it just turned into time soup.
Which is, like, even funnier, because they just take out their clothes and they jump into not a golden shower, but a golden bath.
A golden
And
time
then
tub.
Katie promptly called it boys soup.
Yeah.
The boys and
You
I.
missed the boy pile in the last episode. We talked about the concept of a boy pile.
There's always a boy hyphen something. I feel like.
That should be the running joke for this podcast. It's always a boy something.
And then the last thing I need to talk about. That would be John Cusack hints that he's a Time Lord in it. And he specifically makes this
Hoovian?
a Hoovian. He might be a Hoovian.
Does
but,
it behoovian you to tell us the story?
Something that aged poorly, and my heart goes out to a lot of the people in Japan in Tokyo.
I know what this is about.
But he does make this joke in it that like it's just so poorly timed. It's one of those things where you can't see it coming, but he's like, what happens if Tokyo blows up and like a tsunami hits it? And then, this was released in 2010, and then we all know what happened in 2011, tsunami hits Tokyo. So,
Yeah, actually,
John Cusack is to blame for the tsunami.
John Cusack knew it was going to happen.
that's some like bad level, like, you know how like the Simpsons predict the future often, and people talk about that. He predicted the future, but no one wanted it to really happen, and he was right.
It also kind of predicts the plot of another hit John Cusack movie, 2012.
Oh, yeah, it does, doesn't it? See, these are just really interesting films. I also learned that he's actually not that bad of an actor. Actually, none of them are. Kevin, is his name Kevin in it? He's Kevin in The Office.
Oh, gosh. I don't even remember. You're talking about the boy.
Yeah.
The boy.
Jake. I think his name's Jake.
Yeah, it's the boy without a hyphen. So this is just the singular boy.
Yeah.
In addition to boy soup.
No, it's the
was
guy
in
who
The
plays the
Boys.
mailman. Oh God, I forgot his name in The Office. He's a really good actor in it too. I am surprised. I haven't seen him in anything other than The Office when he works in the shipping department in there.
Oh, Daryl.
Daryl, yes, he is a good actor. I haven't seen him in much, but no, he's good.
Daryl also is great when he actually performs his role singing.
Yeah.
Like, he does an amazing job, and that blew me away, because he's always just been Daryl in my eyes.
Yeah, Craig Robinson's actually, like, kind of a good singer.
My only critique on the film was I think the pacing had one issue, and that was John Cusack being like, the poison pizza killed my entire family.
That was his tragic backstory.
Yeah, which was funny though, and it's a comedy movie. I'm not like I shouldn't also not expect it to be like Citizen Kane, and fuck, Citizen Kane isn't even that good now that I watch it. Now.
Yeah.
It's a good film. Good on you. Good on everybody. It's fun. Maybe I'm just a boomer, but I do understand why there was the rated cut.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of sex. But, I mean, at least it wasn't... I don't think they ever really took it to a degree of, like, Family Guy levels of, like, potty humor and shit where it's like, okay, you can just stop. But, yeah. What questions do you have for us?
All right. My first discussion question is a trivia question. And it's multiple choice. So you have options. Based on my personal observations only, and no actual consultation of facts, which of these 80s movies starring John Cusack is not referenced in this film? A, 16 Candles, B, Class, C, Better Off Dead, or D, Say Anything? Who cares to venture a guess?
It would be Class.
You are correct. Can you name all the references to the other ones?
There is a lot of John Cusack in The Rain. With 16 Candles, I could swear there's something... I'm going to be honest, a lot of John Cusack films are iconic. For as much as shit we can give him, a lot of his films back then, he was really working good on that stuff. It was almost like a resurgence of the romance genre that we got in the 60s and 70s. He just kind of continued that in the 80s. 16 Candles, I could have sworn there was a birthday cake or something there.
Yeah,
right?
there's a scene where him and the girl from Mean Girls, Janice, what's her name? April. There's a scene where they're like eating on top of a counter, sitting like they are in 16 Candles. So that was the reference to 16 Candles.
Yeah.
No reference to Class. Better Off Dead. You hear someone when they're skiing in the background yell, "I want my $2," which is I don't know if you guys have seen Better Off Dead, but that's like a famous quote from Better Off Dead. And then Say Anything, when he's like going through his like suitcase, his like younger self suitcase, he pulls out this fishbone shirt, and it's the same fishbone shirt he's wearing in Say Anything.
Which, by the way, they did a fantastic job with a young John Cusack.
Oh yeah, the actor that they got for him, it looked just like him.
It is amazing, actually.
And he
It's
had like
uncanny.
the same haircut he had in Class, the like little bowl cut thing.
I actually want to kind of circle back to your 16 Candles like callback reference in the movie, because that actually features something that I thought was just good acting, and it
The
was
scooting.
yes, it's the scooting when John Cusack pulls her over just by her little legs. I loved that scene.
That's cute. I do love in like romance movies or whatever when there's like a cute little awkward moment, because it just makes it feel like more real. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna
and
be
like
honest.
endearing.
It made me think, and this is actually like, I'm going to talk about Scooby-Doo specifically.
Oh, yes.
think, I can't remember if it was the first or the second movie for live action, when Velma is wearing her, like, red pleather jumpsuit.
Oh, the
I
second one.
loved that you could actually hear the squeaking sound.
Oh, yeah.
And even though, like, that was a huge inspiration for me for wanting to, like, wear pleather in my life, I always would think about the squeaking, and it would make me have second thoughts.
Yeah.
But I like those kind of awkward sounds that are just real life, and I thought that was a good example of that.
Yeah, I agree. My second discussion question is, would you say Charlie Sheen is to blame for the major conflict of this movie, considering he was in Red Dawn?
Oh,
That's the movie that Sebastian Stan is watching. He's like, fucking commies.
Oh my
Yes,
gosh.
Red Dawn. That is an interesting movie. It's even more interesting now considering the political atmosphere. Yes, I would say, yeah, it was, because it was a big movie at the time, and you have to remember with the Red Scare, Reagan was interesting, and having a movie like Red Dawn come out, able to scare the people, that would like it is played off as a joke, but like I can definitely see where Sebastian Stan could have gotten that.
I'll be honest, to this day, people, like, if they're gonna insult you, they're gonna say, you know, fucking commie, things like that. Honestly, things like that movie, Red Dawn, it stuck with people. It did.
Yeah.
There was, I mean, in a certain way, I don't necessarily fault people in the 80s for, like, you know, thinking, oh, communism bad, because there was so much, like, anti-communism propaganda in America, like, all the political campaigns, and then, you know, like, movies like Red Dawn and Born on the 4th of July, that kind of stuff, like, yeah.
It is Charlie Sheen, you could say, was to blame for government spending.
I guess we can move on to a semi-related question then, is what does this film have to say about McCarthyism?
McCarthyism and cancellation of the 80s. Ooh, great question. Doesn't have anything to say about it. Yes, it does, because they do take the Chernobyl Light drink from them and accuse them of being communists and ostracize them, which is actually something very interesting, because, and anybody can correct me if I'm wrong with comments, but I believe in that time, if you were to threaten that and say that while simultaneously acting like you had a bomb, it is kind of up in there on what would happen. I mean, nowadays you'd have it on recording and somebody would come in and, you'd get your shit fucked. But they, like, I know they make jokes about having Lugal and stuff, but if we were to actually take it from a technical perspective, because of McCarthyism, there could be a good chance he wouldn't have even been able to be Motley Lue.
Oh, true. I didn't even think about that. Yeah. It's funny because the last movie we covered was Family Ties Vacation, and also an odd amount of anti-communism propaganda in that movie.
Oh, yeah.
There's like a whole mix-up with like, oh, they think they're like Russian spies. And also, in Hot Tub Time Machine, Sebastian Stan uses what I would assume to be an anti-Russian slur. I don't want to say it if it's like actually a slur, because I don't know.
Yeah,
But I was like, I have never heard that before in my life.
Yeah, no, that is a big slur. I've heard it in movies. I'm not sure if it's like it is.
It rhymes with brewski.
Yeah, it rhymes with brewski. I have heard it. This is gonna really date me as being a white boy, a straight white boy. But yeah, I did play a lot of Call of Duty Cold War, and like, it was funny.
They say it in Call of Duty?
No, they don't. But I didn't say it myself, but I was telling my friend, oh my god, look, it's a commie. You know, and then we went on to talk about it, and he didn't know what that was either, which was really interesting to me, because I feel like as we've entered in this stage of life where that's not relevant that much, I wonder if any kids or 12-year-olds in the audience even understood that, because I didn't know I was the only one in this room that understood what that was.
Yeah, I've never heard that before in my life.
Yeah, it's
We should keep a slur count for this movie. Like, we got 2 F slurs. We got, the Q slur back when it was still a slur.
Yeah.
And then I guess that anti-Russian slur.
Yeah, 2010 definitely still a time of the slur.
I'm shocked we didn't get the R slur.
Yeah.
No, we didn't.
Yeah, because they did cut that out of the movie.
Well, that I remember, like, back in 2010, that was everywhere.
But it is interesting because this movie did come out about the time, I would say, 2015 was when things really started to take a turn. 2010 definitely came out.
Yeah. Honestly, I was a little surprised, and this is going to sound kind of controversial. I was surprised that they actually did not include the R slur because they included so many.
Started.
Yeah, and Let's Get It Started, because they included so many other slurs in it, like so many others, and it was just kind of like, you know what, we'll draw the line there, which I like. Yeah. It's kind of refreshing that they would.
I can excuse homophobia, but I draw the line at ableism.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be real, like, as someone who's actually taught children before in like arts classes, things like that. Like 13-year-olds, like I'm talking like middle schoolers, they're the most hurtful, mean little creatures because they'll insult you in real ways that like you can't fix, and they're like accurate, like your pants make you look like a mom, and like or like just clever, mean things that you would never expect, and they cut you deep. And honestly,
it's deep, but
it's this is going to sound terrible, but if you're going to bully someone, they're bullying people the right way because it's actually accurate and hurtful, whereas things like slurs and things, it's not creative. It's not creative.
Yeah, if you're going to bully someone, at least like be clever about it. Don't just repeat slurs you heard on Xbox Live.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Like, honestly, it's just, you just take it on the chin.
So my next question is a little more of a serious one, a personal question. If you could travel back to a specific time in your life, when would it be, and would you change anything?
Oh, that is a good question. Yes, there's a ton of points in my life where I'm like, I could change it, and I wish I could sometimes. But I think a movie like Hot Tub Time Machine actually handles it well, surprisingly, because they kind of have some realistic characters that I don't know. I feel like in the beginning I really agreed with them. Enough about the movie. But like, I mean, yes, about the movie. Fuck. No, I wouldn't change it personally because every decision and mistake I made got me where I am today. It may not be 100% the place I want to be forever, but it got me here, and I'm happy in a way.
Is there anything like you would like relive though, like a specific like day or something where you were like, oh yeah, like that is like the pinnacle of my life up to this moment?
If there was a time I could go back, I would purposely record something. And there's this scene where I just want to call him Kevin West, but that's not his fucking name.
Hot Tub Time Machine?
Yeah, oh my god.
Point on the cover.
It's him.
Daryl from The Office.
Yeah, it's Daryl.
Craig
from
Robinson.
Office. Yeah, and he remembers him singing a song, and he does it badly, and everybody's staring
Nick
at him.
Is his name.
Yeah, Nick. They're staring at Nick, and they're like, "Why the fuck would you sing this?" I kind of had a moment like that, except me and my friends, we went up to sing Bohemian Rhapsody, and then we go ahead and sit down at this bar after we sung it, and this drunk guy comes over, and he says, if you sing that badly again, I will shank you in the parking lot. And we were like, and he's like, never do that again. And like, I wish I could go back there, not to stop it, but just to videotape my reaction, because I really wish I could see it.
I like, in terms of something that I wish I could change, and this is, I'm in the same boat with James, where I'm happy with where my life is, and even though my choices might not always be right, they're my choices, they make me me. But if there was one thing I could change, and this is mostly because, like, I work at GameStop, and I just had an in and knew how successful it was, I wish I could have told myself to buy so much freaking stock in GameStop recently, because I would have been able to make so much money and hopefully pay for some of my tuition a little bit better.
Yeah. I don't know. I have, like, one, like, particular day from, like, when I was in high school in my mind where I'm like, that was just, like, a perfect day. And I'm like, maybe I would, like, just want to go back and, like, revisit that. I don't know that I would, like, change anything. But it was just a fun day, and I have
Oh my
a
God.
warm memory of it.
I know exactly what I would change, and this is really real. It was a traumatic thing that happened in my life. I had a I had a horrible bout of nightmares that consisted of dreaming of what were they? It was something like corn pop cereal. Oh, what were they? They were like
Corn Pop is a bad dude.
Corn Pop is a bad dude because Corn Pop gave me nightmares. It was this like corn puff cereal, and I ate so much of it. No, it was puffcorn. It was Cheetos puffcorn. I ate an entire bag of it when I was very, very young, and it actually caused me to have like night terrors because I induced some sort of like psychosis nightmare episode because of puffcorn, and I wish I could have just like traveled back in time and been like, that puffcorn sure does taste good, but you've had enough, Livy. I think it's time to stop.
Yeah, I think like serious answer, like maybe had I would go back in time and like just yell at incompetent doctors. So I'm like, y'all fucked me up real good. And I'd be like, it'd be nice to just yell at them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next question I have is a would you rather. Would you rather be stabbed in the eye with a fork or receive a terrifying call from a stranger cussing you out for cheating at the tender age of 9?
Oh my God. Well, do I have a story for you? I don't have to choose because I already received a phone call like that. I wasn't 9, but I was 12. And I just got my first phone. And I shit you not, I felt like his wife when she was 9, because it is this woman screaming on the phone of why I have to get back with her, and she's sobbing, and she's like, why would you do this to me? Never do this to me. Why? And then like she's screaming, and I was like, I'm 12.
See, I feel like the good thing about that is like if that were to happen in real life, you could just hang up. Whereas if you were stabbed in the eye with a fork, like,
oh yeah, that would leave some permanent
you're
damage.
SOL.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, he just magically heals. So,
Yeah.
actually, that does kind of play into this moment where his future girl, the new girlfriend, says, "Are you a Time Lord?" Which, if you guys remember Doctor Who, he does regenerate. Time Lords do regenerate.
Time Lord confirmed because his eye heals.
Yes.
And
Yes.
there's possibility. I'm not saying it's true, but he could have. We don't really see young Cusack past that moment, if I am correct. So we don't know what he looks like. So he could have regenerated off screen.
You know, I do actually want to talk about something, and this is something that actually did bother me about this movie, and that's kind of saying something because I loved this, but it kind of dawned on me towards the end. They've lived this entire life where they've been wildly successful because of Lou, but the thing is, they never lived it.
They probably had the most intense FOMO.
Yeah, they never experienced it themselves, so it's like they're just starting this life fresh.
That reminds me of like there was this like Reddit post or something about this guy who like had a bout of like psychosis or something. He had like a seizure or something, and he like passed out, and he had this like hallucination like of like he lived like this like full life, like this like beautiful wife and kids and family,
Yeah.
and he like
John
built this
Cusack.
life for himself. Then he wakes up and the whole thing was like a psychosis hallucination, and I'm like, that's so fucked
Wow,
up.
that's real life Star Trek episode with the what is it? It's with the flute. It's in The Next Generation where Captain Picard he actually travels to some like other dimensional world, and he starts a family. Like, he has a wife and he has children, and he lives his entire life until he's older, and they give him a flute, and then suddenly his team actually rescues him after he's had this life and completely given up working as a like Starfleet captain, and he's suddenly sucked back into his real life, or quote unquote real life, what is real, with the Starfleet crew. So that's real. Wow. Like, I've heard stories about people like having like going into comas, and then they just don't remember anything.
That's so messed up.
Yeah, then that's a very interesting thing, because now I'm just picturing going into this arcade. Like the one in Rick and Morty where he lives his life.
Oh my God, yes.
But
the like
imagine this.
Kevin or whatever.
Yeah, the life of Kevin or whatever. Imagine this. You go in, you put the things on, but since we're so corporatized and shit nowadays, you live your life as John Cusack.
Yeah.
Dream. Dream.
So if you actually had a game like that, where it goes through your entire fucking life, what would you do as John Cusack? And would you know what you're doing?
Fuck.
like would you specifically, like, instead of becoming an actor, would you just become, like, I don't know, Grand Theft Auto mob boss John Cusack?
Not to sound like a gross misogynist, but like, I don't know, it would be fun to like be John Cusack when he's filming Say Anything and like get to kiss Ione Sky, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get you. That's where Penis Envy goes away, because you could have John Cusack's penis. Have his Cusacks, as I said earlier.
Cusacks. Yes, exactly.
I wonder what the gameplay on that
Oh
would
my
be
god.
like. Imagine posting a bug being like, did anybody get the erectile dysfunction bug on John Cusack? Like, I mean, my Cusack does not work.
That's so funny.
Bug in the game.
Yeah,
That's so funny.
I would like to return my John Cusack. He's defective.
My next question. Why the fuck was Chevy Chase there?
Chevy Chase, there is a reason. Because, actually, I find this... Could I see the cover for one moment?
Yes.
Because this is going to be interesting. Okay, so this is a very interesting cover because it doesn't include Chevy Chase. And I know you guys listening don't see it, but it says John Cusack, Rob Corddry, Craig Robinson, and Clark Duke. Now, usually they'll have people like Chevy Chase in the film to boost it, because John Cusack is a big name, but you do have to keep in mind that John Cusack is Mr. Romance, not Mr. Comedy. Although you can find the romance is funny. Which only tells me they did put Chevy Chase in there because, you know, you need to boost numbers, and, you know, somebody who loves National Lampoon is going to see it, or, like, you know, SNL will see it and hop on it. But they don't have him on
They don't really bill him.
So
you know what I think it might add to like the it's not, I don't really want to say theory because it's basically like been proven, but it's just like everyone who has worked with Chevy Chase fucking hates Chevy Chase, and it's like, what if they were just like, okay, yeah, we're not going to promote him on this movie, like... Yeah,
Chevy Chase is certainly a controversial character. There's only one person I heard that likes him, and that would be Dan Harmon, which, I mean, I know
he's
Dan
also
Harmon,
kind of a, yeah.
Which, I don't know, Chevy Chase is...
He's honestly just like Pierce in real life.
I respect him to a degree.
I see. I think he's funny. I think his older stuff is funny. I love Vacation and Christmas Vacation. I love Fletch, but like, oh my god, dude, he's such a terrible person.
Yeah, it's funny because he always plays an asshole, like in any role that he's playing.
He's just playing himself.
But he's just playing himself. I do actually want to bring up something, though. I think that Chevy Chase is on the cover of the DVD because I think that Chevy Chase was the guy in the bear suit. That is Chevy Chase. Every time he's like I never really paid too much attention to this, but every time Chevy Chase like magically disappears, I was thinking to myself in like the back of my mind, he's just putting on the bear suit really fast and just like standing in the corner.
Costume change.
Yeah, he didn't actually move. He just is wearing the bear suit and no one could put two and two together. But maybe I did, and maybe he is in the bear suit, which would seem kind of on point for Chevy Chase doing weird shit like that.
I wonder why he agreed to it too. I mean, they must have paid him good. I mean, like,
I'm sure
he is to some degree a father of comedy and pioneer. I just wish that some of the unfortunate stuff didn't happen.
Yeah. My last discussion question is, keeping in mind that Crispin Glover declined to return for Back to the Future Part 2. To be fair, he also declined to return from Hot Tub Time Machine Part 2, but so did John Cusack. Anyways, do you think this is Crispin Glover's favorite time travel movie he's been in? Like, do you think he regards this as like higher on the pedestal than Back to the Future?
I'm going to be 100% honest. I think he would, and I could be completely wrong with that. Am I wrong with that with trivia wise?
I that's not trivia. That's just like me speculating.
I would say maybe, because the thing about him is I understand why he didn't want to be in Back to the Future Part 2, you know. And also, you gotta realize some scheduling conflicts and everything. But honestly, he had more of a character here, and that's because he just wasn't a dad. He was his own man, and there was multiple times where every time he was about to get his arm cut off, it was really funny. But I really didn't want to see it because, you actually ended up really loving him. So, I think he has a lot more lovable role in this, and it's so weird to see him as, I don't know, he's different.
Yeah, I feel like he usually plays like a weird creep.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever seen The River's Edge. That's such a great movie, but oh my god, he's such a weirdo in that movie. I mean, he's a weirdo in like everything he's in. Granted, like he's still part weirdo in this, but he's definitely like less weird than he usually is.
Yeah, he's a lovable scamp.
Yeah, I would not say he is that in Back to the Future though.
No.
A little bit of trolling.
He's a pervert.
Yeah.
Isn't he? Yeah.
I'm gonna be real. I think I'm gonna side with James. I think that he'd probably like Hot Tub Time Machine a lot more and like look back at it fondly, just because it seemed like he just had more fun.
I agree. And I also feel like, I don't know that much about Crispin Glover, but I feel like he's just like a weird guy, and he seems like he would be like a contrarian until he would just be like, oh yeah, I like Hot Tub Time Machine better than Back to the Future.
Yeah, I tell you one thing, I would not fuck with trying to replace him in the second one, because after Back to the Future 2, that is such an interesting movie because that is actually a piece of history, a film history in my opinion, not because it's the most amazing film ever, but it is the first time where they actually confirmed that you could not rip off somebody's face.
Back to the Future 2?
Yeah, did you not know that?
Wait, what? I'm so confused. What?
Yes, so for those that don't know, Back to the Future 2 had a
you're
huge
talking about
controversy.
makeup-wise. I thought you were
Yes.
saying, like, logistically, you cannot rip someone's face off.
Honestly,
no,
that
no.
and that immediately made me think of like monkeys.
Travis! I hate monkeys.
The technicality of a chimp being replaced. So, in your guys' opinion, would you put if you could replace like John Cusack with a chimp, how different do you think the movie would be?
I would not watch it. I would refuse to watch a movie where a chimp is the main character.
But what if it was a chimp that had all of John Cusack's mannerisms? It was just a chimp.
People tend to forget that this movie was very much a prototype for an upcoming film called Space Chimps. A very beautiful film, which John Cusack plays the main character. Craig Robertson also returns. He's like shuttle command, and he launches John Cusack. And about Rob Corddry is also a background character, but it is crazy how the entire cast returns.
I saw that movie in theaters, I remember.
Did you know John Cusack was in it? He's not.
I know. I
fucking
think
would.
I know John Cusack's filmography. He was in Igor, though. His
Oh, he was?
voice acting roles, he was in Igor, and he was in Anastasia.
Oh wow.
The more you know. Yeah. Hot Tub Time Machine. What a movie.
Does anyone have anything else they would like to add Hot Tub Time Machine?
Wow. Yeah, Chernobyl. I'd love to do an article on what's in that. Because,
Chernobyl?
Chernobyl. Because you have to think that there has to be something in there to propel them.
He mentions what it is. Chevy Chase says what it is. It's like some made-up element.
Yeah.
But there's also, like, I would love to see what the most expensive thing they use on that budget. Because if you look at how the film is done, it's a lot of on-set locate. Well, I'm not going to go as far as say it's on-set, because they could have just rented out a lodge. But that's a lot of money for something that I don't want to say looks low budget, but there has been movies that have been made on a lower budget. Because that one, a lot of it went into costume design. So I wonder how much the bear suit. The bear suit.
The bear suit was the most expensive thing in the film.
It also could just be the actors'
The
payroll.
CGI on the projectile vomit.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Yeah,
projectile vomit in this movie, and it was all CG done, and it was actually done really well.
I don't know why, but specifically, that caught me off guard more than the Hot Tub Time Machine. It's like that was so
like puking on the squirrel.
yeah, that was so visceral, and it's like you don't expect it as an audience
If
member.
you notice later in the film, the squirrel is actually still covered in puke. I
Oh,
thought that
when
was a nice little
he
touch.
the football game.
Yeah, in the football game, and actually when they like crash when they're skiing, the squirrel that jumps on them is still covered in puke. It's the same squirrel.
You'd have to probably rewatch the film and look at the screenshots of it and the screen grabs, because that does happen, but I'm curious to see if it is in the same placement of the puke, meaning that if the squirrel got covered in the puke in the first scene,
He also traveled back in time.
he also traveled back in time. But they'd also have to bring that squirrel, put it in a cage, with the puke prop still on it, and then let it go and film it again.
Oh, I got you. Like,
So
yeah.
that, like, in filming terms, that's really interesting. So
Continuity.
imagine being a squirrel getting
Squirrel
captured.
actor.
Yeah, a squirrel actor
actor.
getting captured. You'd see John Cusack's big old beady eyes look at you down. And he's like, I'm going to have somebody puke on you for this film.
I need to talk about one other thing that haunts me about this movie is when they're in the hot tub, they're all naked except for like the boy. And
The boy.
and John Cusack is mostly naked, but for whatever reason he has like, you know how like little boys will like pull their shirt up over their head like a little hood? For whatever reason he's completely naked except he's doing that, and it haunts me.
It's a power move. It's a power move.
Yeah, that was weird. It must be like, that must be. Oh, fuck. He wasn't an executive producer, but he certainly was.
He was a producer.
On this one. So he did have a hand in a lot of that stuff. I wonder.
I kind of get the sense that like in John Cusack's movies, he just kind of does what he wants, and then everyone else is just like, oh yeah, okay, sure,
Yeah.
let's go with it. Because like watching like the behind the scenes of Say Anything, like the cast commentary, there's like so much stuff where like, oh, he just like improvised his own lines, or like he was like, oh, I think Lloyd would listen to The Clash. I mean, granted he was working like very closely with Cameron Crowe on that movie, but I also just get the sense that he just kind of does what he wants in his movies, and they all just kind of work around him, like Marlon Brando style.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, for instance, in this movie, if you're all hopped up on Chernobyl, like, a lot of good things can happen. And I feel like tonight proved that with Katie's Chernobyl version. I know I had a good time, and that Chernobyl was sure good.
In all fairness, I do think that John Cusack is very much a larger-than-life person, and he does play a lot of those roles that encourage him to be a goofball. And I think sometimes that just rubs off in real life.
Yeah, lovable scamp.
Surprisingly, during the Trump administration, he was very on to Trump, and like that was actually probably his most sane period.
I have a folder on my computer of just screenshots of John Cusack's Twitter. This one says, I'm blocking anyone who isn't aggressively anti-Trump until election is over. Sorry, no time for your bullshit. Slay. Trump's new video, as a collapsing steroid baby, is performed in full Oompa Loompa chimney red / orange pumpkin spice face. No one could make up how sick and idiotic this is.
Oh, Cusack.
Morning Twitterverse. Today is the day when you have the power to kick a fascist out of power and into a nightmare of endless court battles.
See, that's also
him
interesting
out of jail.
because I'm not going to 100% discuss his political...
The only concession this asshole understands is the nacho stand at the golf course is my favorite thing he's ever tweeted.
He also has tweeted actually some anti-Democrat things too, surprisingly. You wouldn't,
Oh
you
yeah,
wouldn't think
because he's like a communist.
Is he communist?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. I mean, I don't know if he's outright
Social?
said he's a communist, but
Well, you heard it here. Folks.
he's for redistributing the wealth. I've seen him talk about that on Twitter and stuff. So I would assume he's a
Actually,
communist
that's
or
great, 'cause
socialist.
I want to talk about today's sponsor. We're sponsored by John Cusack. No, he didn't reach out to us, but we're gonna say it until he sponsors us.
Do you know that John Cusack vapes?
Oh God, yeah. Katie did actually show us some images of John Cusack vaping, and it's funny because these are like getting images. So either two of one things had to have happened. One, he just went over to do it, kind of like, you know how Elvis went over to Nixon and is like, I want anti-drugs. I could see him doing that, or some kind of drug thing to encourage vaping over smoking, or somebody from Getty Images actually had to go to either his agent or Cusack directly and ask him to do it.
Yeah, you want to be featured in Getty Images vaping, John Cusack? And he was like, yes, please.
Yeah, or the actor can you just imagine going over to Cusack and being like, I think this is going to be a really good role for you. Getty Images.
All right. Last thing before my computer dies. What would you rate this movie out of 10? I can go first. Honestly, solid 9 out of 10 for me.
I'm going to say 10 out of 10. And yeah, this one stuck with me. I want to watch it again, actually.
It's so good. Do you think there are any Hot Tub Time Machine posts on r/movie details? Because like I feel like it's like rife for posting there.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure. Well, first, my rating is going to be about. I was going to be 6 out of 10, but then, honestly, like, you know, yeah, I am a prude with sex things. I don't know why. I'm just a boomer, but that has to be one of the best scenes I've ever seen for somebody screwing up their own birth and disappearing I've ever seen in a movie. Like, it is actually hilarious. It was great. So that obviously raises it up to a 7 out of 10. As for the movie details, I'm sure there's got to be something, but, you know, here's my final question. Do you think there's a Redditor deep in his basement who kins John Cusack in this movie?
That's me, baby. That's just me.
Epic Redditor.
No, I'll be honest though. John Cusack's character in One Crazy Summer, also on the list of movies to cover for the pod.
Kindle.
Yeah, I kin him.
Get it now on Kindle.
Because he's like an art student, and he's like also having an existential crisis. And I'm like, that's just me. That's me.
Yeah, that's...
Oh my God, John Cusack, what are you doing here?
Oh my God, what are you doing in my house?
Is that a gun? Jeez, you're gonna shoot us.
Will John Cusack shoot us now? Will he steal the Chernobyl? Find out next time.
It's terrible. I love it. I feel like that's a good place to end.
Yeah, he's holding the gun up to me right now, so we should end.
Okay, yeah, John Cusack is telling us we have to end the podcast right now, or else he'll shoot us in the dick. Shotgun to the dick.
Yeah,
all right. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.